People elect political parties to deliver results. They don't elect them to obstruct progress, delay outcomes, or undermine the results they expect. So let's start this episode with an example.
Is part of a dangerous, deliberate pattern. That's why today I introduced a resolution to impeach Donald J. Trump, outlining 7 articles of impeachment.
I will bring articles of impeachment against the President of the United States of America for taking our military to war against Venezuela.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to announce I will be impeaching Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem.
What did this video show? They used the threat of impeachment, not to deliver a result, but rather to sow disruption. Impeachment is the most serious mechanism available to Congress. It exists to address extraordinary circumstances, not encourage routine political disagreement. So let's look at the record. During the Trump presidency, impeachment advanced through the House twice in his first term, with 3 attempts still pending in his second term. During the Biden presidency, no articles of impeachment had passed the House. The record is clear. 2 attempts, possibly 5, versus 0 attempts. Despite that contrast, we continue to see repeated attempts to introduce articles of impeachment, not as part of a successful removal process, but as public displays. These actions are documented. They're on the public record. So the question isn't whether impeachment can be proposed. It's whether these attempts produce results. Do they improve policy? Do they deliver outcomes for the people? The answer is no. When impeachment is repeatedly introduced without effect, it stops functioning as a safeguard. It becomes a performative act, an attempt to disrupt proceedings without offering a constructive path forward. The outcome is always the same. Time is lost. Trust erodes. Division deepens. No policy is delivered. This is how division becomes normalized. First through delay, then through disruption, and eventually through language designed to inflame rather than inform. People expect problems to be addressed, systems to function, leadership that focuses on delivery. Yet increasingly, instead of delivery, we're seeing division used as a governing tool. Not disagreement, not debate, but behavior aimed at interference rather than results. In this episode, we examine how political division is created, why it's used, and what happens when governing shifts away from results and toward disruption. Good government isn't about ideology. It's about performance. The job is delivery. Division is not.
In recent months, we've seen extended floor speeches delivered during active legislative sessions. These speeches did not introduce new legislation, they did not propose amendments, and they did not advance a vote. Their primary effect was delay. So the question is simple. Were these actions intended to improve policy or to prevent a vote from taking place? Because delay by itself is not delivery. Did these actions make legislation better? Did they produce a measurable benefit for the people those legislators represent? The outcome is clear. No legislation was improved. No agreement was reached. No result was delivered. Length alone does not equal substance. Time spent speaking is not the same as time spent governing. And when hours are used to prevent action rather than improve it, the result isn't leadership, it's obstruction. Statesmanship is measured by outcomes, by negotiation, by compromise, by delivery. When those are absent, behavior stops looking like resistance and starts looking like disruption. Political speech isn't always precise. Exaggeration exists. Embellishment exists. That's not new. Embellishment stretches the truth, but it still begins with something real. Outright falsehoods are different. They replace reality. The real damage occurs when statements cross from exaggeration into demonstrably false claims. Claims that contradict available evidence. Claims that are later disproven. Claims the public relies on to make decisions. The following video is a classic example of an event being used to create a false narrative.
It is egregious. It was an outright murder.
What we saw today is a murder.
that ICE agent murdered a woman in Minneapolis.
In recent years, we've seen repeated public assertions that did not align with documented outcomes. Statements later shown to be inaccurate or incomplete. False claims don't just mislead, they delay correction, they obstruct accountability, and they prevent problems from being addressed when it matters most. Words matter, especially when they come from people with power and public authority. Because some words don't just criticize policy, they permanently alter lives. Accusation is not evidence. An allegation is not guilt. Yet when the most serious accusations are made publicly before facts are established, damage is done immediately. Once that accusation is made, it cannot be withdrawn. Even if later facts contradict it, even if investigations clear the individual involved, the accusation remains. This is not leadership, it is not accountability, and it does not deliver results for the public.
By this point, a pattern is clear. Delay did not deliver results. Disruption did not improve outcomes. An accusation did not create accountability. It sowed mistrust. But none of this happened in isolation. It worked because people participated, often without realizing they were doing so, by repeating language, by amplifying claims, and by choosing sides before facts were established. Most people didn't intend to divide. They didn't intend to obstruct. And they didn't intend to cause harm. But participation without understanding still carries consequences. What was promised as positive action produced no positive results. What was framed as accountability delivered no solutions. And what was presented as leadership damaged trust. Trust in institutions, trust in process, and trust in one another. This is what we've learned. Division doesn't govern. Accusation doesn't solve problems. And outrage is not a substitute for results. The only effective response is being attentive and staying informed. Understanding the difference between disagreement and disruption, between exaggeration and falsehood, and between accountability and accusation. Because a healthy country depends on citizens who ask questions, who examine evidence, and who refuse to be mobilized by division. We've presented the facts. What happens next depends on what we choose to do with them. Thank you for watching. John and I will see you in the next episode of ThinkTanked.